Bristol City are all but down and their fans are ready to face the consequences.
Doomed now. But having said that, we've seen it all before.
The player who left City is firing Bournemouth up now. His manager joins us in the studio. So does a boss who might not be on gardening leave for too long. Along with Eddie Howe on the sofa, Adi Williams. He was a Reading legend as well. Not sure that you're quite the Sex, Drugs and Rock and Roll type of guy, though we might find out differently over the next half an hour or so. First up, though, we let Bristol City fans have their say. Their side is all but relegated from the Championship and their fate could be sealed depending on results this Tuesday. And already the City faithful say League One will be just as hard. Practically into the edge of the area, plays a little 1-2, transfer left footed cross into the near post, goes all the way through, and it's an own goal of Liam Fontaine.
Sean's doing a good job with what he's got. That's what he can do.
He needs a season in the next division, lower division, and to create a new team, I think.
Emilio Kamara is pushing it into the pass Alonso, but he's dallied on the ball and allowed Adoma to get back. It's come to Davis, and Davis scores the equaliser for City, the top scorer, laid on a plate for him by Albert Adoma.
We're down. I think most of the fans have given in.
Doomed now. But having said that, we've seen it all before.
Flicks it forward and goes, bringing down his chest. Bates tries to get there. Referee's assistant has given a penalty kick, and this could be certain to City's season. Top division, that's what we do. Nobody seems to be a walk in the park. It's not going to be like that, is it?
Next season, I think playoffs minimum. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of different people.
I think there's a general acceptance there, Eddie, that Bristol City are going to be a League One club next season. You know Sean O'Driscoll very well, of course. What will be in his mind at a time like this now?
Knowing Sean, I think he'll be planning for next year. He's a fantastic manager, and I don't think Bristol City could be in better hands. He'll be looking to next year now, and he'll be trying to build a squad that he thinks is capable of getting promotion.
Yeah, you've worked under him. He's worked his magic at many a club. What are some of the keys to what he's done and why he's successful?
Hard work. He works extremely hard. He's at games all the time. And he's one of the best coaches I've ever worked with. He's a meticulous planner, and he will get Bristol City prepared for the new season.
You've learned a lot off him, I would have thought, haven't you?
Massive amount. When you work with someone for such a long time, like I did with Sean, learned a massive amount off him, both on and off the pitch.
Okay, that's what Eddie thinks. What do you think? If you tweet, you can continue the debate online at Tony Husband BBC on City's misfortunes at the moment. We have some already. Andy BCFC 2013 says this season is over for Bristol City. Mass clear out needed. Chris Bessick, so I would hope that City will be straight into the promotion picture in League One. We're about to become the big fish again. That's something that Russell Tippett agrees with, and adds that he wants a first round win in all three cups as well. Well, we'll talk Brighton in a moment, moving up the table and looking playoff bound. Plus, Bournemouth storm to victory as the promotion push continues at Shrewsbury. Eddie will have his say on that. Former Plymouth and Torquay boss Neil Warnock on the run-in and his future in football. And how the Reading player who lit a fire through the 70s is about to be immortalised by Hollywood. We complete the Championship with Brighton, who are scrapping for points at just the right time. They're fifth, and the playoffs are beckoning with a much-needed victory at Middlesbrough yesterday, which followed 3 straight draws. We'll take a look at the action, Eddie. Gus Poyet has done a great job. What makes him stand out as a manager, do you think?
I think his philosophy. I've got a lot of time for Brighton and how they play the game and how Gus sets his team up. Fantastic football team, and I think he'll go all the way.
This style of his, we see it with Di Canio as well, Adi, don't we? It's certainly flamboyant and seems to work.
Absolutely. You know, it's all about results football, and Gus, a former teammate of mine, if you like, at Swindon, very, very passionate. You know, he was as a player, South American. He's really got that passion. You can see it there with his hand signals towards the travelling supporters. So, yeah, fantastic season under Gus.
Yeah, and Eddie, does the style of play that Brighton have, does that mean they might be well suited to the Premier League if they did go, a bit like Southampton have?
I think so. I mean, I look at Swansea, a team that played really good football in the Championship, and they stepped up to the Premier League and made that transition really well. I think Brighton are capable of doing the same thing.
Okay. Right, a late kick-off exclusive now at a remarkable meeting. Hollywood feature film producers have come to the region in search of the widow and daughter of a player who blazed a short but fiery trail across the 1970s. That's before his untimely death. Who is he? Well, a book about this star was called The Greatest Player You Never Saw. It was co-written by the Oasis bass player, by the way. The player in question was Robin Friday, whose legend simply grows and grows, especially when film producers come calling. Late kick-off cameras join them. The evening crowd are in at the Spread Eagle pub. Across the road now stand several blocks of flats, but once that was Reading's old ground, Elm Park. Inside one corner of the bar this evening, there's a new crowd. Now their usual watering hole is 5,500 miles away in Hollywood. America, an unknown footballer from some bizarre place in Britain. You have a laugh, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, the strange thing is, had it say be Georgie Bass or Stan Bowles or any of those other characters, they were very known. There's lots of footage about them, whereas the mystery of this guy is what really makes it really interesting. He did it. He followed his dream, played football. He also lived life to the full.
Robin Friday played for Reading between 1973 and 76 in the lower leagues, beguiling both the defences he would face and the people he would meet. He even kissed a policeman in celebration of one of his special goals, and there are many, many more stories that the writers have collected.
Clive Thomas tells the story that it was this very sort of straight Welsh referee, and Robin Friday scores this goal, and Clive Thomas looks at it, and then he applauds. And the referee starts clapping in the middle of the game.
Charlie only sits there and he goes, Robin, I'm putting you in the first team. You're playing against Northampton. We're playing them at home. You're in. And Robin says to Charlie, it's great. You know what, boss? I won't drink, I won't fight, and I won't go with any women between now and the game. And Charlie went, Robin, you can lie to me once, not 3 times.
Drink, drugs, you name it, he embraced very many things to the max. Dying aged just 38, a flawed hero whose attitude was shaped quite probably by one event.
When he was 21, he used to work on the roofs doing asphalting, and he slipped one day and he went down onto a stake, and he missed his lung and his heart by about that much. And you know, we think that maybe that kind of sparked it, that he thought, you know what, it's fragile, life is so fragile, you know, you get one chance.
His pre-season preparation was unique.
He's got a plastic bag with his boots in there, and he's got long hair and he's dishevelled, and he's obviously been, whatever he's been doing for 6 weeks in Cornwall. And he puts on his boots, and Morris said he was the best player out on that pitch. And these guys had trained for 6 weeks, and Robin just was the best player.
Where had he been?
He'd been on a hippie commune in Cornwall. Even if he wasn't playing well, he gave 100% every game. He never showed. He always gave 100%. And fans loved that in the club.
Mining one of the richest seams of sporting folklore is one thing, but 2 people are key to this flying visit.
This is Mike.
Robin's former wife and daughter are meeting the film producers for the first time.
The story just got bigger and bigger. Right, so that we knew we had to go Friday get ready.
With them comes a scrapbook and another find. This photo capturing the moment just after Robin had proposed to Lisa.
I've got you by my side, I don't care what the people say. As far as women were concerned, he had all of it, rolled into one, do you know what I mean? Which is why he wasn't really the man to was really the man to marry, I don't know. People just want us to tell them anything we might know that can add to whatever they already know, and well, I think it's wonderful to have been, you know, privileged enough to have actually been his wife and have children and be, you know, asked all this time later about so many different things.
Reading Football Club has never forgotten this enigma. He's in the current Hall of Fame and voted Player of the Millennium by the fans.
I didn't really know what to say, but when I got up I just raised a glass to my dad and I was so chuffed as he got standing ovation.
They're also giving the film the thumbs up.
If a woman wants a bad boy and a rugged boy and a personality and charisma all rolled into one, then I couldn't have been luckier. But, well, of course there were downsides, but we wanted to remember the downsides, you know.
And it's all here, the movie makers hope, in this film script. but that's going back to LA right now, under lock and key. Great story, ready to be told by Hollywood. Eddie, I know you've got a particular Robin Friday story.
Yeah, very much so. True Reading legend, Tony. The Spread Eagle pub that we saw just next to Elm Park, they used to go in there prior to games, have a couple of pints, play 90 minutes, probably score a couple of goals as well, and then back in the pub afterwards. But probably, if I'm being honest, more than a couple.
Now, come on, guys, if you were going to be featured in a Hollywood film, who would you want to play you? What do you reckon?
Well, I've got to be honest, bit of an action man. I'll go for Daniel Craig.
I've been liking to Jim Carrey. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. I've got you down for Matt Damon, Eddie.
I'm happy with that.
Fair enough. Okay, we asked for Robin memories on our Facebook page and got this from Stephen Hunt. He wrote about watching the shot which missed the goal and knocked a young fan off his feet. He says Robin leapt the wall, clambered up the terracing to help, and apologised to him and his dad. He said he was a real one-off and true entertainer. So we kept digging on in social media, and here's what we found. The boy all those years ago who got hit on the nut. And he now lives in Bristol.
My head was ringing, I didn't know what happened. And I was sort of just coming round, and I could see Robin Friday jumping over the wall in front of the terraces and running up the terrace towards me. And he lifted me and said, I could hear people say, is he all right, is he all right? And I could hear him saying, is he okay, is he okay? And I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine. And he gave me a big kiss and ran back down the terraces and jumped over and carried on warming up for the game.
Sean Kenny with another great memory there. Right, we move on to late kickoff's form team now. Bournemouth have won 7 in 7. And Eddie, it's really over to you here because you're going to be analysing this footage this week of another great result for you, 3-0 at Shrewsbury. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, this was a good first goal. I think it's really good from our point of view that we scored early for any away side. I think it certainly helps. And when you look at the quality of Brett's second goal, it's a great finish, and we've just got really good momentum at the moment.
Yeah, just rode your luck here.
Yeah, you need to at times away from home. You're going to have those moments, but it's important that you have players who are capable of turning games, and Brett's in that vein of form at the moment.
Doing things like that, you know, fantastic. He's just absolutely fine, isn't he, at the moment? And again, good work and approach play to your third, and thank you very much to take the own goal.
Yeah, you take that.
It's going tremendously well. I'm going to pull up the League One table at the moment because it really does make great viewing for Bournemouth fans. They've got the points and the position, but the rivals, who we'll have a chat about in a moment, have the games in hand. So this is really looking good for you, isn't it? And you came back from Burnley, just everything's fallen into place.
It's been a remarkable run. I didn't foresee this happening, really. The players deserve all the credit to win the amount of games that they've had to get ourselves in this position.
What have you actually done? You know, when you go in there, you must have done something that's changed the mindset of a team that was struggling down the wrong end of the table.
Well, I think all we've done is get the team together. We have our plan and how we want the game played, and then try and implement that on the training pitch. But I have to say the players have been excellent in taking ideas on board.
You came back, it's worked. Brett Pitman, it didn't go so well from a Bristol City. He's come back, and we talk about this goal-scoring run he's on. You know, he scored another couple yesterday. Well, these are all the goals. This is 8 in 7 now. Remember a certain Jermaine Defoe you played with who got 10 in 10? I mean, he's on that kind of form, isn't he?
He is. I think you look at these goals, they're all different types of finishes, and he's capable of scoring goals at any time, and he's a big player for us, but I think he'd be the first to admit the team is certainly creating chances for him as well.
And he will have that confidence if you do, all being well, step up to perhaps be a different player in the Championship then.
I think he's experienced it. I think that's vital. I think he's capable of scoring in the league above, without a doubt.
Bournemouth going so well. Here are the other League One clubs who've had Eddie a little stressed all year as both opponents and rivals for promotion. Congratulations to Yeovil. They're definitely in the playoffs after this victory at Stevenage.
Only one defeat in 9. Yeovil, they've got the momentum, the confidence and belief that comes with that. No wonder when your keeper's performing like this. Sam Foley with the opener. Nice controlled effort. Just pass it into the net. James Hayter, he pops up with a second. Vastly experienced striker. He certainly knows what a net is.
Yeovil finished with 10. Dan Burns sent off for a second yellow in stoppage time. 3 defeats in a row for Swindon. They're in danger of missing out on the League One playoffs. And manager Kevin McDonald apologised for his team's performance. He called it embarrassing.
Only 1 win in 8 for Swindon. The question is, how do they turn it around? For starters, they've got to do better with the goals that they're conceding at the moment. United attackers in between the Swindon defenders. You have to pick your man up, lock on and mark him. You've got to take responsibility. Space has never scored a goal.
Crawley may yet make the playoffs after beating Coventry for their second win of the week. Billy Clark and Connor Esson with the goals.
Been an excellent few days after winning at Sheffield United midweek. 3 clean sheets in a row for Crawley. That's quality defending.
Pompey's run of 5 without defeat was ended at promotion chasing Brentford.
Keeper Simon Eastwood at fault for me. Must make better contact. That said, fair play to Pompey. Responded brilliantly. My former teammate Dave Conley, he'd made a living out of scoring goals. Great turn. Must hit the target. Fantastic strike. Look out for another turn. Sean Cooper on the sixpence. Once again, great strike.
Pompey 2-1 up, but 2 late goals would win it for Brentford.
This is X-rated stuff, Tony. Schoolboy defending, very, very scrappy before being punished. Now, just 5 minutes remaining away from home. You've got to take a point. The goalkeeper, for me, he's confident. He's shot to pieces. And look how gutted the defender is. Absolutely devastating.
Well, Portsmouth fans spilled onto the pitch at the end of the game. Now, this could prove costly to the club, because a Football League fine may be imposed. Their relegation will also be confirmed this week if Oldham beat Yeovil on Tuesday night. So top of the table sees Bournemouth 2 points behind the leaders, but the chasing pack do have those games in hand. Yeovil's win guarantees a playoff place. Swindon stays 6th despite their recent poor form. Well, Portsmouth still have chances of beating the drop till the 10-point reduction, of course, comes in. I want to talk about Portsmouth first, and some amazing scenes at Fratton Park this week and at the High Court as well. Fans trust me a step closer to taking over. A High Court decision seeing them follow Exeter in being run by supporters, but the high spirits which saw fans spill onto the pitch at Brentford could well result in a fine. One person actually going on the Twitter and kind of noting, well, we've just lost the benefit of kind of 20 shares there if there was a fine going. Eddie, former Pompey player, of course. Great to see them out of the woods, it seems.
It's brilliant news. I think it's what all Portsmouth fans wanted, and hopefully the club will look to a better future now.
Yes, it's been a long fall down the division for them. AD Gary Johnson, the fans love him at Yeovil. I'm not surprised why, because he has done a remarkable job with that club.
Yeah, very much so. They're 4th in League One. Phenomenal. You know, when you look at the results they've had this season, and no disrespect, you know, he's not working on a massive budget as well. You look at Sheffield United, Swindon, Doncaster at the top there, dare I say it, Bournemouth as well. You know, fair play to Gary Johnson, because it's been a phenomenal effort.
His son, I'm sure, will want to be loved like those fans love him, because, of course, it is Oldham and his son Lee on Tuesday night. A huge game in the Johnson household, isn't it?
Massive game here. Obviously, Oldham looking to stay in League One, Yeovil trying to get out. So, yeah, a little bit of fun, I'm sure. It'd be nice, maybe a drink afterwards for the father and son.
How are you going to be spending your Tuesday night? Because there's a certain Sheffield United-Brentford game, isn't there?
I'm going to be at a game somewhere. I don't know where yet.
But, you're not telling us yet where at the moment. Hey, a word on James Hayter as well. 15 goals, a player you know plenty about, and banging them in for Yeovil.
He's doing great this season. Hayes, he's always been a goal scorer, technically excellent. Disappointing to see him scoring at the moment for obvious reasons, but no, he's had a great season.
Swindon are certainly going to be hoping to improve as well, because they have had a rocky patch. I'll enter League Two now, starting with those clubs whose very survival in the league are in the balance, and Neil Warnock will be giving us his views in a moment. First though, AD joins me to review the action. Aldershot remain bottom of the Football League. The Shops with 3 matches remaining to stay in League Two. Can they do it?
It's getting tougher each week, particularly as York won at the weekend as well. Matt McClure got wicket in front just after half-time. But I'm really pleased for the Shops goal scorer here, Craig Stanley. He's had a terrible time with injury this season. At last, some good news. Great finish, Craig. But Joe Grant got the winner against his former club. The Shops boss, Andy Scott, dismissed it as very, very soft. I'll tell you what, Tony, that's putting it mildly.
Heartache for Plymouth, with Burton's winning goal coming in the 94th minute.
Yeah, would have been a very important point for Plymouth. Once again, terrible defending.
And more bad news, Crystal Palace have recalled Jason Banton from his loan spell. Yes, that could be bad news for Plymouth. Let's have a look at the table. Torquay's must-win match against Barnet now takes place this Tuesday night. Aldershot bottom, they need a final push to avoid the dreaded trapdoor out of the league, and Plymouth, as we talked about, 3 points clear of the drop zone. Well, we'll stay with matters at Home Park, because it seems a good time to get the views of a man who led the club out of the division 17 years ago, and he still talks about them as we. I spoke to Neil Warnock in our Plymouth studio earlier and started by asking him about Argyle and Torquay's hopes of avoiding the drop.
I think they've both got a good chance. I thought yesterday's game was going to be vital, you know, Torquay above Barnet.
and I was gutted. I was doing the final score up in Manchester, and I thought they'd got a great point, Plymouth. Only when they announced the proper results did it come out 1-0. It was that late. I was gutted for everybody because they've done very well of late. I think John's done really well while he's been in charge.
So the dust has settled on your departure from Leeds, Neil, but the question really is, I suppose, what is next for you, and bearing in mind that you've moved back to your adopted home in Cornwall?
Yeah, I've been retiring for about 20 years now, I think. It's been one of those things. I think what I'd like to do, I still think there's a massive gap between a manager and the owners of a club, the board of directors, whoever there is. I don't like the title director of football, but that sort of position in there where you can help the manager and you're not a threat to him. Because I think all managers now need help. You look at the Championship, for example, the tenure of a manager now in the Championship is 1 year, 4 months on average.
We put out a note on Twitter when you left Leeds and said, would fans down in the West Country, particularly Plymouth, obviously, with your association there, would you welcome a role for Neil Warnock? And I have to say, most of them that came back said, absolutely, we do. I mean, are you kind of waiting for that phone to ring and James Brent possibly to be on the phone and say, look, come and get involved?
No, I already speak to James quite a lot, and I think everybody owes James an awful lot. I think if he hadn't come along, I doubt if there'd have been a Plymouth. That's how important it was. So he knows that I would support the club, whatever I can do.
Just opening the discussion out, Neil, give us an insight into the tension that managers are going to be going through at this stage in the season, whether it's about getting in the playoffs, going up, or just staying up.
Well, it's like I said I did football final score on Saturday, and it's the first time for 30 years, I think, that I've woke up on a Saturday morning that my stomach's not churning inside out. I can't eat anything after 8 o'clock in the morning on a match day until after the game.
Yeah, well, a minute.
You're driving to the ground, you're nervous, you've got all your superstitions, your poor old family, you try and smile, but you're not really talking, listening to them. It's a horrible time of the season, but that's why we're all in it. We're all in it to be there, to get success, and unfortunately you have to look at the other side of the coin. We're all going to get the sack at some stage, and we've all got to get clubs out of the relegation problem. So it's you don't survive in management unless you get one or the other, and you have to deal with the elation as well as the disappointment.
Eddie Howe will be watching this on the sofa with me. What would you like to say to him? An incredible gamble in many ways to go back to Bournemouth, and it's really paying off for him.
Well, I disagreed. At the time I was really pleased he went back to Bournemouth, because I didn't think he was happy at Burnley. I watched his body language, and managers, if you're not happy, then you can't do your job. I think his family's there, he knows the chairman now, he knows he's got support, he knows the fans love him, and that's a massive plus for a manager. And I think the players, I think it responds on the players, that happiness, and I think you've got to have humour in the dressing room, and it's a mixture, and I see Bournemouth a very happy club at the moment, and that's because Eddie and his staff are very happy. So I think it was a very, very, you might say brave, but I thought it was the correct decision.
There you go, a ringing endorsement on your decision to make the move back down south. And Neil, somebody who's done so much in the game.
Yeah, he's been a manager for such a long time, and he's got success at most clubs. He's a manager that I certainly respect.
Yeah, you talked about the stomach churning stuff there, and even after all his years, all his experiences, is that something you identify with, you guys as managers?
Absolutely. I think every manager will tell you the same. It's really uncomfortable, it's difficult watching sometimes. But I think I said after the game of Saturday, it's the best job in the world, but it can be the worst job as well.
Yeah, it's like a drug system, I suppose, isn't it? You can't live with it, can't live without it.
It's very addictive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well put. Okay, so to the teams at the top, looking for a bit of Warnock-esque promotion magic. We start with the Cheltenham side, still chasing an automatic spot. Cheltenham are now certain to be in the playoffs at the very least after defeating already promoted Gillingham. Michael Hector scoring in what Mark Yates called an outstanding performance. A point for Exeter after 3 successive defeats. Jamie Reid twice put them in front in his full debut, but Wimbledon came back to equalise on each occasion.
Exeter now rely on other results going their way. As a player, the first thing you look out for after a game, how did the teams get on in and around us? Now, Jamie Reid does all the right things here, as you'll see. He gets it out his feet, hard, low, across the goalkeeper. Dodgy bounce on a dodgy pitch, but I'll tell you what, that won't bother Exeter. Now, as a defender, I really feel for the rear guard of the Exeter defenders here. No real pressure on the Wimbledon player. Look at the reaction though, the body language of the defenders. 1, 2, 3, hands up, absolutely seek to concede 2 minutes after going in front.
Exeter did put the ball in the net for a third time, but it was disallowed. Jamie Jurgen offside. Cheltenham's good result against promoted Gillingham keeps them 2 points off an automatic promotion place. Exeter are 7th. They'll be relying on they're actually 8th. They'll be relying on other teams to slip up if they're to grab that all-important playoff place. It's going to be a big week in League 2 now, guys, and Cheltenham and Exeter meet on Saturday at St James's Park.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive game, isn't it? I mean, Exeter got the home ground, the home support behind them, trying to get into the playoffs just outside as it stands. I think Cheltenham are 7 points above them. There's the carrot. You know, if you win that game, if you win the evening or that afternoon, you can now close the gap to 4 points. So, yeah, all to play for.
And on this kind of Super Tuesday of Football League action we've got coming up, worth noting, Bradford and Rotherham are playing each other. So, you know, the complexion of the table is going to change, isn't it? So, do or die now for Exeter, really.
It is, very much so. The next 7 days, Tony, is crucial. You know, we'll know much more. There's a big fixture list, full fixture list Tuesday evening.
Okay, from the contenders to the sides trying to keep their minds off their summer holidays in League Two's mid-table. Oxford halted their run of 5 without a win. Alfie Potter with the only goal of the match. But the poor run has cost them any chance of a playoff spot. Oxford have played at Dagenham 3 times, and on each occasion they've been 1-0 winners, although maybe this should have been a 2-goal victory. Sean Rigg missed that chance. Bristol Rovers took a point from this mid-table match. John Ward's side have lost only 1 of their last 7 now, and even the Rovers manager admitted this wasn't a classic. Tom Parks had their best chance, and Ward's demanding 2 victories from Rovers' last 2 matches. Well, what a revival of Bristol Rovers, but we just looked at mid-table there, Eddie. I guess it's now all about putting the plans in place for a successful season next season.
Yeah, I think managers of all those clubs will be out and about, scouting players, getting their list together, planning for next year, trying to get the best squad possible.
How do you keep the players motivated at a time like this?
I think personal pride should play its part. You know, players will want to go onto the pitch and want to win every game, and they want to go into the summer on a high.
Okay. Well, last but not least, to Guernsey. No Matt Le Tissier, he didn't make his debut for his island after all, but he was on hand for something very different and important. Fabrice Muamba, the Bolton player whose heart stopped for 70 minutes, travelled to the Channel Islands to donate a defibrillator. The equipment could save many lives. Matt was helping with the official bit in his official blazer. Well done to Matthew Le Tissier, great ambassador for the game, of course. Eddie, thank you very much for being with us. What would promotion to the Championship mean for you?
I think it would mean everything for me personally, but more importantly for the town, Bournemouth. I think it would be an historic achievement. It would rival Harry Redknapp's side that he took up, and we've got 2 massive games to come. Yeah,
you've been in some very good teams as a player yourself that didn't quite make it. Got enough this time?
I think so. Looking at our team and our squad, it's very, very competitive. It's very strong. If we can keep everyone fit, we're okay.
Okay, thank you for joining us as special guest, Eddie. Of course, thanks as always to you. Next week we meet the fan who hasn't missed a game since December 1981. That's a pretty good effort. We just ask you to not miss our next programme, which is 11:25 next Sunday night, right here on BBC One. Enjoy your week. Cheerio.